welcome back to Talking Blondes. I'm Virginia, and I'm coming to you from the Pacific Northwest in North Idaho, and I'm joined by my lovely co-host here, Miss Caitlin.
Hi, everybody. I'm coming to you from the Buckeye State of Ohio, OH.
OH, and I'm thinking for
No,
Idaho,
you're supposed to say I. You're supposed to say IO.
IO.
Yes, yes.
Why is that?
I don't know. Well, we just say it. We just say it.
You
All
just
the
say
Ohio
it.
State games. You go OH, and then your fellow fans on the other side of the stadium go IO, and it's a whole thing. You go OHIO. Yeah.
That's great.
Um,
And to this day, you're not quite sure, but this is just something you guys
it's
do.
it's it's just tradition. It's just what we do.
It's
Wow,
tradition.
people are getting a lesson right off the bat today. Right
Yes,
off the bat, including you. How about that?
I am. And this is actually great because you brought up tradition.
hmm
And today is November 13th, and I started my day off actually with a really great local women's meeting. I mentioned about this meeting in one of our earlier episodes, actually. So, for those who are local, it's called Chaos and Coffee. And we were talking about tradition and holiday burnout. And these are the things that Caitlin and I have been talking. So I think it's just so cool to be on that same wavelength with other people, especially women. And Caitlin, you brought up, it's tradition, yet like not really questioning it or as to why. And tradition came up for the women's meeting about how sometimes it's actually worth taking a pause and questioning as to why do we do this. And so we'll get into a little bit more of that for today's topic, but I actually wanted to start off with something so special and so sincere. So, for those who are watching the episode, I want you all to take a really good look behind this Miss Beautiful Snow Princess here, Miss Caitlin. We have a beautiful plaque of our Talking Blondes logo displayed in Caitlin's office. You guys, Caitlin was gifted this from a very dear friend who is not only a close friend of Caitlin, but a fellow supporter of Talking Blondes. When Caitlin shared this with me, this deep, deep wave of gratitude came over me to the point where I was getting teary eyed just thinking that someone was thinking of Caitlin and I in that way and looked into making something so special for us. I was so moved by it. And that is what we're going to be talking today is gratitude.
Absolutely. And yes, I have to give a shout out and possibly embarrass a little bit my dear wonderful friend Sabrina. I met her, gosh, years back at working in a travel agency, and we had the best times. Crystal Travel, highly recommend you book Crystal Travel and Tours, not just travel, travel and tours. Highly recommend you use their services. No, they don't pay me to just tell you that, but tell you know me. Maybe they'll throw something in. I don't know, or they'll just laugh and be like, "Oh, you know her? Oh, you poor thing." But anyways,
Oh,
met her there, and we have been wonderful best friends ever since. And yes, I was like you, Virginia. I was absolutely teary eyed and so moved and so grateful. And Sabrina, yeah, thank you so much.
thank
And
you.
also, keychains. We got these cool keychains,
Little
which
keychain.
I need to send Virginia hers. But yes, we got some amazing keychains. So we're so touched. And to your point, Virginia, yes, I mean all of this really, these are such wonderful reminders of gratitude and the amazing people in our lives and how important those connections are. Just day to day for our mental health and our well-being. And and just life, you know?
Yes. So, Caitlin, you brought up that gratitude, how it can play a role in those things, like so mental health, overall well-being. So we're going to talk about gratitude in general, but how actually gratitude plays a role during the holiday season. So I thought I would start just with the definition of gratitude, and then we'll kind of go into some kickoff questions here. So I pulled up definition of gratitude, and it's basically means being grateful means recognizing and appreciating the good in your life, even while acknowledging that challenges, pain, or difficult emotions still exist. In other words, you can hold both gratitude and struggle at the same time. They can coexist. And an example might be I'm really stressed, but I appreciate having people who support me.
I'm hearing some reframing there, which I'm sure
Yeah,
we'll talk about more.
that's my
Um,
former coaching client right there. Yes, yes. I
Correct
love that.
her for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad you brought that up because
100%.
gratitude can definitely help with reframing and having a perspective shift. So we can talk about that more as well. So I thought we can start with some questions, but I want to real quick touch on one more thing, and this is something we brought up in the holiday burnout episode. So I'm going to say it and then I'm going to point out a very key word. So here we go. Gratitude helps you build resilience, increase emotional balance, and see perspective without denying your experience. Caitlin, what key word do you think I'm thinking of that came out of that I brought up in the holiday burnout episode?
I'm going with resilience,
Mm,
but I also leaned into all of that, to be
yes.
fair.
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
emotional balance and everything. That's why I was
Yes.
like, I don't want to pick one. But yeah, I mean, let's go with resilience for sure. You have to have that.
Perfect. So that's actually the word that came up in our holiday burnout episode,
Hmm.
resiliency. So I just thought it was so great that gratitude and resiliency are connected. And as I mentioned in the holiday burnout episode, and I will also touch on it again today in the gratitude episode, resiliency is not about just pushing through and shoving down.
Yep.
Resiliency is being able to acknowledge and process your emotions, but without having it dictate your decisions.
So deep. So
So I
deep
feel
and
like
so true.
resiliency gets a negative stigma because when people hear it, I think especially women, they hear once again, I've got to like push through and
Hmm.
force something, but that's not the real meaning of resiliency.
Well, and I hear resilience too, and I think, oh, like you only, I mean, I don't rationalize it in this way, but I think we're almost coached and trained in a sense as women to think, oh, if you're resilient, that means you must have like had a really tough life and you've had to
Yes.
just be, thicker skin and just shake it off and whatever. And that's absolutely not always the way. In fact, I think
Yeah.
more often than not, it's not the way when we're talking about
Yeah.
this situation. You know.
So I love just bringing a lot of clarification to these terms. I think that's so cool. So if you're listening to this and you feel the same way, feel free to share with us that because I just find it so fascinating as when Caitlin and I prep for these episodes and we're doing our research, I'm like, wow, that's so interesting. On that, actually, one of the things we will be discussing also today is the difference between being grateful and being thankful, and how that can actually make or break your gratitude journaling practice. So, we're going to get into that as well. But we're going to start off with some kickoff questions, and Miss Caitlin's in the hot seat, in the gratitude seat, and
Let's do this.
let's
Let's
do it.
go.
So here's one. What does gratitude look like when life isn't going your way?
In one word, difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Gratitude looks difficult, or it feels difficult. When life is not going your way, I think naturally we are, we're so prone to, woe is me, why didn't that happen? That's not fair. You know, why, like, why is this way? I never win. I never get what I deserve. Or when are things going to get better? I think that is so often our mindset and our the track that we're on. I know I'm often on it when things aren't going my way. So difficult would be the first word that comes to mind. However, there's always a plus side. However, this is where, kind of like what I said a little bit earlier, I think reframing comes into play. So gratitude for me, when my life isn't going the way that I'd hoped, or something doesn't go my way, or I'm going through a rough season of life, gratitude for me is a conscious decision. It's something that I have to catch myself. I have to actually catch my thoughts, and I have to. And granted, I'm not saying, oh, I never allow myself to have a negative feeling. I never allow myself to have my own little pity party, because I very much do at times. But ideally, I am trying to catch myself in the moment and reframe that and say, okay, well, here's the thing. Yeah, two things can be true, right? I can be sad that this didn't happen, this didn't work out for me, or the outcome that I wanted did not transpire. However, I can be very grateful that something bigger is on the horizon, or whatever it may be. Gratitude is also recognizing, okay, that didn't happen, but here's the good in what did happen.
Mm.
And I'm going to hold on to that. And so when things aren't going the way, I feel personally, when things aren't going the way that we had hoped, and it's always easier said than done. I think I say that on every episode of Talking Blondes, but it's very true. If this was easy, we wouldn't have a podcast about it, right? And you wouldn't have a life coach role. If it was all easy, there would be no. I mean, it takes work.
Right. Yes.
But absolutely, finding the good that did happen
Mm-hmm.
and focusing on that. I think that's key, really. Um, yeah, I personally, that's what it looks like for me on my end.
I'm actually really glad the first, like, instinctual response was difficult. I do, because I think that is far more realistic
It's
and
not
and,
easy.
and
It, it
human.
it's yeah. I'm not going to cut you off. I was just going to say it is not my gut, or not gut. It's not my knee jerk reaction. It's be
Hmm.
like, oh, didn't. I don't know, that person's not in my life anymore. Well, I'm so grateful that XYZ. Like, no,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be sad if it's someone who's important to me. Like
Yes.
it's kind of sucky at first.
Yes.
So.
But that goes back to the true practice of gratitude is you're able to experience the whole range of emotions without any shame, guilt, or judgment. Um,
Mhm.
so do you feel like it's only difficult because we put pressure on ourselves to only feel the good and not process the negative? Is that where the difficulty comes from? Or that it's a mental practice, like you said, that we have to consciously make the effort.
I That's a really good question, Virginia, and I hadn't even thought about it in the first way that you just phrased it. I think
Mhm.
it's a little bit of both, if I'm honest
Okay.
with you. For me, at least, in my
Yeah.
experience, because yeah, I do think there is some shame in, well, okay, but you need to snap out of it and like focus on the good. And it's like,
Hmm.
okay, but maybe I'm having trouble doing that. So
Yes.
I absolutely think there's a lot overlapping in that in the
Yeah.
gray area. Yeah, for sure.
Where do you think that stems from, though?
Ooh, that is a good question too. I think I think maybe a bit of it being a woman, I think we are often
Mhm.
very much programmed to be the nurturers, the caring ones, the ones that are always kind of on
Mhm.
for caring for other people, putting our needs last, thinking about ourselves last. And, something that might come with that is, oh, just be grateful. Just be grateful and don't let yourself be sad or feel bad about something or just shake it off, be grateful, and move along, kind of a thing. I think that
Yeah.
might be part of it. I think also too, there is. I'm a very big believer in positivity, and I'm a very big believer in trying to be an optimist, trying to see the silver lining. But I do think that there is some sort of maybe even like a toxic positivity where there's just like this push where, it's like just be thankful, be grateful. And I know those have different definitions. So I'm very curious to hear about that when we dive into that because that is
Yeah.
going to blow my mind. So we'll put a pin in that. But yeah, I think that we do live in a culture where that is a big thing as well.
I agree. I agree. And I'm glad you brought up toxic positivity, because toxic gratitude actually came up. And I listened to a Mel Robbins podcast in preparation for our podcast episode, and that was titled The Science of Gratitude and Six Surprising Ways You're Getting It Wrong. So she listed off 6 ways of toxic gratitude. So we can touch on that too, in our episode today if time allows for it.
Yes,
But
please.
thank you
Love Mel
for,
Robbins.
yes, yeah, Mel Robbins is great. But that was great, Caitlin, for the first question. So, because already so many little gems came out of that we're gonna deep dive more into. The other question, actually, what you were saying, Caitlin, about the whole like maybe pressure on women and how to deal with negative, heavy, emotions. This might actually be very fitting. This next question. How can gratitude help with burnout, comparison, or perfectionism?
Mm, that is
Isn't that
huge.
good?
That's huge.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. Because aren't we all dealing with that in one way or another? My goodness, that's major. Um, I think whenever we're dealing with burnout or perfectionism or what have you, I think there is this constant feeling of rushing and
Mm.
of getting from one thing to the next and being better than that person and this and that and what have you and keeping up with the Joneses and so I think with gratitude, I think gratitude forces us to pause. I think gratitude forces us to be present, and
Hmm.
appreciate, and I don't say that lightly or, but really, really be present and focus on whatever's happening in the moment that we're in.
Hmm.
Um, and it grounds us. And I think that feeling grounded and feeling just away, away is not the right word, but feeling some sort of separation from the chaos
Yeah.
of the holiday season when everything is just wild, often at times, or perfectionism when we're just trying to meet this impossible expectation that either society or our loved ones or we ourselves have placed upon ourselves. I think when we're dealing with that, I think we need a moment. We need a moment where we feel we can almost step outside for fresh air, and I think gratitude
Yes.
presents that for
Oh,
us.
I love that. I love that. I'm like picturing almost so it's seasonal, right? It's the holiday. So I'm picturing like gratitude, which can bring a sense of calm, peace, being centered, grounded, almost like going back to home in you, which is a cozy fireplace home,
Yes.
and you're
Crackling
relaxed,
fire.
crackling
Uh-huh.
fire, and you're relaxed and you're joyful. You got your cup of tea, your hot cocoa, your book. There's just something about having that within you, and I feel like gratitude pulls you back to that
Absolutely.
source. And I love too how you said it helps to for you to be present with yourself. That's very important, but with your loved ones as well. So that's beautiful.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, I just think, I just feel like even if we're not feeling burnout or, this need to be perfect in some manner, I just think in general, there's a quote that I'll summarize from Buddha, and it's, we are shaped by our thoughts. What we think is what we become. And I think, it's so easy to get caught up in the rush of this daily life of, everything, all of our responsibilities, whether it's the holiday season or not, or
Yeah.
family, friends, work, health, bills, unforeseen stressors that come up, everything. And I think, you know, there's something to be said about saying to yourself, I have a choice, right? We always have a choice. Whether we want to acknowledge it or not, a choice is always there. And the choice is this. You can either go down the path of this sucks and it's gonna suck and I'm not happy and I don't like it and it's only gonna get worse and I can't do anything about it. Or door number two is I'm going, and we'll talk about this more, Virginia, because I know you have a lot of good tips and tricks and everything. Door number two is I'm going to focus on, well, one, what I can control, and two, I'm going to focus on expressing gratitude, and I'm going to think in a gratitude mindset. I'm going to think about the good and the things that enrich my life, even in this struggling, tiring season that I'm in. So
Yeah. Oh, all
I have
right.
a lot to say on this, but I want to hear all your thoughts, girl.
Yes, no, I love it. I love it. And then I guess yeah, we'll do this one more question, then we'll get into everything else that we have for our episode.
Sure.
Um, can you be grateful and still want more and still want something to change?
Yes.
Okay.
Here's all right. Here's yes. Yes. So, okay. The gears they're turning. If
I
if you're
love when the gears are turning.
if you're listening, you probably have no idea, but I'm like, ooh, my face. Years they are returning. Okay. Yes. So I think there's different types of gratitude when it comes to situations like wanting more for yourself,
Hmm.
or just like so. Okay. All right. Compose yourself, Caitlin. Thoughts, words.
Thoughts,
Put them
words.
in order, start to finish. Got it. Okay.
Oh
So,
my gosh.
so yes, I think so. The first thing that comes to mind for me when you ask me this question is, let's say there's a goal that you have set for yourself, and you
Hmm.
are striving to reach this goal. Maybe it's a New Year's resolution.
Hmm.
Maybe it's a workout challenge. Maybe it's something at your job. Maybe, whatever it might be. And let's say you are looking at the progress that you've made and you're a few months into it, or, whatever. I think you can be grateful for the progress you've made. You can be grateful for how far you've come. You can be grateful for the work that you put in, but you can also want more. And I think in that sense, the wanting more part is awesome.
Yes.
Because it's pushing you to be your best self. So yes, I think that's major. Another thing that comes to mind for me is maybe something more personal, like when there's a parting of the ways, so to speak. So let's say, you and a significant other break up, or, you leave a job, or, whatever, something like that might be a little more, might be a little more in the feels in some sense or another. And it may just be that whatever that fit was, whatever that looked like in your life, it was not the right fit for you either, ever, or just at that time. Maybe you had outgrown. And so I think in that essence, you can be grateful. You can take away the lessons. You can take away, things from the experience. You can find gratitude in that. I hope you can. Unless maybe it's a really toxic situation, then ladies, you do you and you get out, and it. Anyways, I digress. But yes, you can be grateful, but you can want something more, and that something more would be a fresh start somewhere else. The last thing that comes to my mind in this situation, actually, Virginia, would be my answer for the last one. Would be no. But it's not. But it's not bad. It's not a bad thing. I do think that in many situations, our society is just programmed, and it is drilled in us to never stop wanting more, which can be good, but sometimes more can just be excessive.
It sounds like to me that this goes back to the true meaning of gratitude, is that these things can all coexist at the same time. You can be grateful for what you have, but you can also want more. Now, on that, Caitlin, you are questioning the wanting more. Where is it coming from? Is it coming from an authentic place? Is it aligned with your true self? Or is it coming from a place that might be you're trying to fill a void, or it's coming from a wounded
100%.
place? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
So this is great. I love that. So I'm glad you brought up the yes and the no, because it kind of just makes me think of like, okay, well that's gratitude. It's all of it can coexist at the same time. I can be, grateful for the progress I'm making, as you mentioned, but I could still want that result, of whatever it is I am working for. But hopefully I'm being present and I'm being mindful where I can enjoy the experience and not the end result. So I keep chasing. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
and honestly too, I think it's a very sad mindset if all you're doing is telling yourself you're going to be happy once you've achieved this goal. I
Yeah.
think you need to find happiness throughout the actual process, because I've listened to podcasts, I've seen people interviewed, and they've done marathons, or they've done, XYZ, and they're like, yeah, like I would get this awesome time, or I would get this award, or I whatever, and I just would feel empty afterwards. And so they realized that the actual fulfillment was in the process itself, doing it. So
Yeah.
anyways, I know I gave you a long answer there.
And I'm so grateful for the long answer. Actually, so before I move on from these kickoff questions, you brought up one more thing that actually might be a segue into our next talking point for gratitude. You mentioned, Caitlin, about that you could be going through something quite sucky, a toxic relationship, or maybe you got news about a loved one who found out they had cancer. And so my brain, when I know you didn't use the cancer example, but use the toxic relationship as an example. My brain thought of the Mel Robbins podcast that I am referencing some of that content for our episode today. So on that, I'm going to grab my handy dandy notebook.
I love it. Do you have a blue dog that's gonna pop up too?
I wish I had the blue dog. Apparently, okay, so totally like sidebar. Apparently, Steve, I know that's not his real name, but he will be forever Steve. He's doing a podcast for us millennials.
Seriously?
You guys. You
Stop.
guys.
Stop. Can he come on the Talking Blondes?
I would love to have Steve on the Talking Blonde.
Can we go on his podcast?
I want to go on. We want to go on his podcast.
Everything, all of it, all the things.
All
okay.
of it. All the things. So, all right, back to our
Back to
podcast.
gratitude.
Gratitude. So on that, Caitlin, the toxic relationship, there might not just be anything to, be like, yes, but I got to, experience this, so I'm trying to find the good in this really sucky thing.
Right.
Sometimes there may not be. And that's a form of toxic gratitude.
Okay.
So we've heard of toxic positivity. Toxic gratitude just takes it a layer deep. So we're going to talk about that. So I'm going to list off the 6 forms of toxic gratitude. And of course, we can deep dive the ones that we want to talk about more. So number 1 is using gratitude to only focus on the good while dismissing all the problematic areas in your life.
So basically, rose-colored glasses and just living very sadly, naively, and yeah, no good.
No bueno. No bueno. The second one is using gratitude to manipulate or shame other people. So Mel Robbins, that's why I love Mel Robbins. She is so transparent on her podcast, and she's just a real person to me. I feel like she's a very real person. So she used this example to explain the second form of toxic gratitude. So I'm probably not going to get the whole story right, but she did like a party for one of her kids, like one of her sons. And from that party, there was like a lot of mess and dishes and everything. So she looked to her son to help her with the dishes. But instead of like asking politely, she used gratitude to manipulate him into doing the dishes because she was just so stressed out from the mess. So she was like, you think you would help me with the dishes and be grateful since I just threw you this party. That was her go-to.
Okay.
And I so appreciate hearing that from a woman, a mother, because this is how dysregulated we can become when we're overstressed and we've reached our limit. And so, I'm sure her son in no way is thinking, yeah, I'm totally going to take advantage and not help out. My mom is, SOL. I personally don't feel like, depending on your family dynamic, but I do think that the minute we go there, we lose connection with our loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
They might still help, but they don't want really anything to do with you.
Yeah.
And that is a very lonely feeling. And you're like, I messed up.
Well, yeah, I mean, and I don't blame her, for feeling frustration in that moment.
It's human, right?
It
I mean,
is.
I've had those kind of reactions too before.
Yeah.
So Caitlin, you mentioned earlier about like that may not be our go-to instinct to go, hey, could you help me with the dishes and just leave it at that. We still as women feel like we have to explain.
Yes.
We have to defend. We have to justify. So, ladies listening to this, it's a practice. It's a practice. If you are one of the lucky ones that grew up with this and you had that kind of mother and, and parents and upbringing, wonderful. Wonderful. A lot of us didn't, though. So we are still learning, still growing as we go. And just remember, though, it can actually be a great teaching lesson too for your kids as well, because one day they might have families of their own. And to see how their parent, reacts to these things and how quickly they're like, you know what, I'm sorry, that wasn't fair to you. I would really appreciate your help with the dishes. And I'm sorry, I'm just really stressed out. It's got nothing to do with you. That helps your family so much more than you think. Because they're humans too. And they might feel like, oh man, I can never mess up. I can never make a mistake. And it's like, oh no, then you're going on that path of perfectionism. And we know that's a very destructive path.
Yes.
Uh, so, yeah, isn't that, yeah,
That's wild.
manipulate or shame, like vulnerability. Our very first episode, weaponizing vulnerability. Vulnerability.
That one's got a special place right here. Right here. Vulnerability.
Oh, Caitlin. Yeah, yeah,
Wow. My goodness, girl. Dang.
yeah.
This is I agree with you. Mel Robbins is, I mean, she's very obviously very intelligent, very wise, and she
Yes.
always is very, I think, transparent, and she's just very real. So I love these examples. This is awesome.
Yeah, I really enjoyed listening to that podcast. Okay, so the third form of toxic gratitude, it becoming like using it as a justification to stay stuck where you are unhappy. So,
Okay.
for example, you could say, well, I'm grateful for my paycheck that I get from my job.
Okay.
But you
Okay.
love your job. You
Okay.
say how soul sucking it is, but you're like, but I'm
Yes.
grateful for the paycheck.
Yes.
So you're
Okay.
gonna stay stuck.
Uh-huh.
Same
Uh-huh.
with similar to a relationship. Like, hey, this person doesn't really bring the best out of me, but at least I'm not alone.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. Or, yeah, maybe I don't feel like I can trust them, but, you know, they're really kind to me when I'm around them, or like, and
Mhm.
kind people, like, yes, I can think of some some different scenarios. Fortunately, I haven't been in them, but just in general where that could very much play a role in keeping people in a situation that is very wrong for both parties.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm wondering too if there's an underlying form of people pleasing
Could
in that.
be. Could be. Yeah.
So,
And I just feel like,
because like let's say you stay stuck at your job because you don't want to you know maybe your workplace is always expressed being short staff or never having enough people, so you're like, well, I'm not going to just leave now. I mean,
hmm,
they need
they
me.
really need me. Yeah.
Yeah,
How would they get on without me, kind of thing?
right,
Sure.
right.
Sure.
Or if we're using a relationship as an example, you don't want to upset this person.
Yes. Yes. Like, oh,
So,
they're going through a really hard time. I don't
yeah,
want to make it worse.
yeah.
Or,
Hmm.
well, like, it could always be worse somewhere else. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, but let's just assess the current situation right now
Yes.
and go from there. Yes.
And isn't it interesting how we tend to, our go-to is like, well, it could always be worse. And it's like, well, how about it, it could be better.
Mhm. Mhm.
Could be better.
Definitely.
So I
Definitely.
just thought maybe with that one, maybe there's like slight people pleasing that might contribute to
I
that.
I think there's absolutely some overlap there.
Yeah.
Yeah, big time.
And then the fourth form of toxic gratitude is using it as a way to escape uncomfortable emotions.
Mm.
So
Okay.
I mentioned briefly an example about finding out a loved one has cancer, and you're very uncomfortable with that. It's a very
Mhm.
uncomfortable, heartbreaking news to get.
Yeah.
So instead of just sitting with your loved one,
Okay.
you are like, but you're gonna beat this. And
Mm.
I know people who have your type of cancer, and it's gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine. Instead of just being
Or
like, yes.
I was just I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
So just with that, it's just not. It's it's almost like not carving out the space to just have um, these authentic, vulnerable emotions about something that can be quite horrific. And
Mm.
because you're uncomfortable with it. So you're like,
Mhm.
but there's a silver lining and there's a
Yes.
bright. You don't know that.
Yes.
You don't know that.
Well, and one thing that came to my mind, and this kind of, I guess, more or less goes with the it could be worse
Yeah,
version, but well, at least you only have this kind of cancer. You don't have that. That kind of cancer is way worse. And it's like it doesn't change the fact that this person you're talking to is going through
right,
hell. Like
right.
this is what they know. That's a horrible
And
thing to
now
say to
you're
someone.
invalidating
Hmm.
their experience. So you're like taking it away
Yes.
all because you're uncomfortable and you can't control it. So that's a big
Mm.
part of it is the lack of control. So we
Okay.
freak out.
Oof.
I can't control your cancer, and that
Hmm.
freaking freaks me out.
Yes.
So we're just gonna flip it, and you're gonna be fine. You're gonna be in it, and there's a blessing in here somewhere. And
We're
the
gonna make
person,
it sound really good so that none of us feel uncomfortable, and it's gonna be great.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, on that, I do remember that there was when I was getting chiropractic care done in like my mid 20s. I
Hmm.
had this one chiropractor recommend this book to me about how, though, positive thoughts, these were real stories of real patients with real diseases and ailments, it increased their lifespan by having
Mm.
positive thoughts. So I'm not saying that we get to like stay in the negative and dwell and ruminate because that can be a form of poison that we ingest that can make us really sick and unhealthy. I'm not talking about that, and that could be another podcast episode. But this is more about like again, going back to the balance of gratitude and how it can all coexist. We're not staying stuck with that mindset. We are just honoring for what it is in the moment and then moving forward.
Yeah.
So I kind of just wanted to like touch on that for today's episode because that's really important, I think, the distinction.
Absolutely. Well,
So,
I love obviously thinking happy thoughts is never going to just make every problem you have, every illness you may have, every anything negative go away just like that. But I
right.
love what you said about positivity having some correlation with, extending people's lives, and
Mhm.
that's a beautiful thing.
I think
Um,
so too.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It and I have to talk about, just for a second,
Yeah.
Jennie Allen, who I believe I brought her up in our Friendships in Adulthood episode. She wrote the book Find Your People, and I was talking about it back then. Another book she has written is called Get Out of Your Head. And just very much to your point, a lot of what you have said, Virginia, her book
Hmm.
is, and yes, it is Christian based, but all of her research when it comes to mental health, and there's a ton of it in that book, um, is all scientifically backed. There's research, there's all sorts of things that she cites. And it's all about, it's not just a random self help book. And hey, there's a lot of great ones out there. I'm not knocking them. But this one in particular is about taking control of your thoughts. And, just a lot of what we've been saying throughout this whole episode, and finding the gratitude, finding and recognizing that you're going to have some negativity, and it's not, that it's not preaching toxic gratitude or toxic positivity. It's preaching, realistic gratitude, and how to kind of, again, reframe your mind, reframe your brain. It is a skill set. It doesn't come easy at first, and it's something that you still have to remind yourself to practice. But, her book also very much conveys that there is a connection between, better quality of life and prolonging your life, when you are expressing that gratitude and positivity. So I could talk a lot about her. I will leave it at that, but I'm sure I'll bring her up in another episode because she's amazing.
Oh.
Um, yeah, I'm loving this. This is awesome.
Yeah. Well, thank you for mentioning that, and then we'll put that in the show notes.
Good call out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So another form of toxic gratitude is um, pushing positivity on other people.
Probably the biggest one, I think, that
I think so
I
too.
know I've done it. People
Oh,
have done it to me.
yeah.
They're going to do it to me again. I'll probably do it again, but I want to try to be better,
Mhm.
and catch myself before I'm doing it. Definitely.
So on that, and I was thinking more about this particular form of toxic gratitude. Again, I just think it goes back to what we've been programmed, especially as women, is that we can't have any other emotions besides happiness and
Mm-hmm.
being positive all the time.
Yep.
And so we're like, because of that, we're not even, I feel like, uh, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't even feel like we're that in tuned with ourselves anymore. So there's almost like this detachment. Um,
Mm,
if that's our only one state to be in, then we're on autopilot for most of our
absolutely.
life, and that's not living. So it made me think, okay, pushing positivity in other people. That might be masking uncomfortable emotions, which goes back to the other form of toxic gratitude, uh,
Mm,
using it as an escape from uncomfortable emotions. So if we're pushing positivity on other people, we're uncomfortable with negative emotions. So
yes.
we're masking it. And I like to believe it is coming though from a good place of pushing positivity on other people. I mean, sure, there are those who could have, malintent behind it, but I think for the most part, just for argument's sake, it does come from a good place. What we don't realize is it can actually cause more harm than good when we push it on other people, or when we even push it on ourselves. We're
Mm,
already been talking about that.
yeah, that's a
Find
fair
the good,
point.
find the good. Like there's gotta be something. really good and to be grateful for and and have a positive mindset. So it's just so interesting to me that, well, one, I feel like when we enter into that like that mental space, uh, it's not really coming from an authentic place. I feel like it's very forced.
The more we push
The
ourselves,
more we push
absolutely.
to that pressure we put
It
on
has
ourselves.
there's a fine art to it, I think, because we don't want to let ourselves just stay stuck in
Right.
this endless merry-go-round,
Mhm.
spiraling negativity. Um, on the same, or on the other hand, I guess I could say we don't want to just, okay, everything's fine. I'm so happy. I love this so much. This is great. Oh, aren't you great? Like, that's not gonna work either.
Yeah.
And I do hear some perfectionism even in that too.
Yeah.
Kind of what you were talking about a minute ago. I think there's some perfectionism underlying there, where it's like we just always have to be positive and happy all the time as women, and it's bullshit. Sorry, it is.
It is.
So yeah, I mean it's tough. It is
Yeah.
that's literally why I said difficult is the first word that comes to mind when life is getting tough or not going your way. It is absolutely, it may be some people's nature to just find the gratitude. It's not mine. Kudos to you. Love that for you. Would love to be one of those people one day. But there is an art to it.
There is.
100%. There is. Yes.
And I'm glad you mentioned that there is an art to it. And then yes, the last form of toxic gratitude is actually using it to minimize your accomplishments. I
Hmm.
thought that was really, really interesting.
Interesting. Tell me more. Tell us more. Not just me. Other people.
Yes, of course. Um, so what I basically gathered from that is like, let's say, we'll use work as an example. Um, and you were assigned this project and you succeeded with flying colors. And instead of just like being like, wow, like, yeah, I did that and I'm really grateful. But also to like, these these other five people, also get credit
Okay.
and I only really did this much, really, to be honest, if I'm being
Hmm.
honest here. And now you have caught yourself in this trap of minimizing
Uh-huh.
your accomplishments. So I thought that was interesting because I feel like I did that a lot, but now as I'm getting older, and Mel Robbins actually referenced this too, and I cracked up because I was like, yeah, maybe that's just part of getting older. She referenced Snoop Dogg's speech about I want to thank me for me. I want to thank me for doing the hard work. I don't know
That's
why,
amazing.
but I feel like I can resonate with that far more because sometimes it's like, yeah, it is me. I am the
Hmm.
one who did that. And I'm not talking about it coming from this wounded ego place. If anything, I think it's almost to um like uh like proof that you can do hard things.
Having
And if you
confidence in
keep, yes,
yourself.
and if you keep
Being
minimizing it,
being
your
confident.
self-esteem is low.
You're
And
making yourself small. You're
you'll
making
play
yourself
small.
small, and you're not
Yes.
doing the world any favors
Yep.
by shying away, I think, in
Yeah.
those situations. Yeah.
Hmm.
I could totally see that. I myself, I know I do that at work. I mean, it's not like a daily thing, but I will absolutely, say things like, "Oh, well, it was a team effort," "Oh, well, this person," And part of it, I think, is me wanting to share and spread the love and share that feeling. Um, but at the same time, I do think internally, if even if it's just internally in those moments, maybe you don't want to say something on camera on a call or whatever, but even if it's just the mindset you have of, yeah, I did something really cool, or I worked my butt off. Like, we need
Hmm.
to start there. We need to at least start there,
Yeah.
and work our way. I do think there is something to be said about humility. Um,
Hmm.
and I think you can have humility while also accepting your hard work and responsibility and taking ownership of that. I think there is very much a way. It comes with getting older, it comes with maturity, it comes with, life experience, but it's absolutely, absolutely possible.
Yeah.
I want to say too, I would be remiss. All my girlies out there that believe in higher power, anything like that, I just want to touch real quick on when I'm at my lowest in finding gratitude, I will turn inward,
Hmm.
or upward, maybe I should say, and I will pray. I will seek a higher power, and I will focus on that because that gets me into a mindset of really seeing the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And so I just have to lay that out there. Um, Maybe you don't identify with that. Anybody listening, that's okay. But I just, all my girlies out there, anybody else who can relate, I just want to throw that out there too, that is another way that has proven for me at least to be an immense help, when I'm struggling to find the gratitude, in low points in life. Definitely.
So, on that, would you say it's safe to say that gratitude is a spiritual practice then?
I think it definitely can be. Yes,
Hmm.
absolutely. Yes. I mean, think about it. For anybody who prays, you say your prayers, and, often you're thanking God for X, Y, Z, and so absolutely it can be spiritual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with that, for our girlies out there, um, would love to know actually if you do this, but I think it's safe to say in the wellness and the health space that gratitude journaling is a
Yes.
self-care practice.
Yes.
Now, here's something you may or may not be aware of, but did you know that if you don't understand the difference between grateful and thankful, that can actually make your gratitude journaling ineffective?
Okay, I want to hear all of this. So
Yeah.
I'm a listener right now. So I am like Virginia's number one fan over here. Tell me more. I need to know all the things. Come on, let's go. I did
Okay.
not know this.
So this was great when I came across this in my research for gratitude. Actually, a few years ago, I was a health coach, and one of our health coach leaders, mentors, whatever, um, did a virtual like call on the difference between being grateful and being thankful. Now, that was a few years ago, but I thought it was really interesting because I kind of feel like this whole time like using grateful and thankful interchangeably, it all just, is the same and,
Yeah.
there's really no difference, but there is. And if you are doing gratitude journaling like I did last year, and you're writing down the things that you're air quote grateful for, and wondering why after a while of doing it, it's not making much of an impact, this might be why. Okay, so here we go. I thought this was really great. The difference between grateful and thankful: gratitude, deeper feeling,
Okay.
mindset, it's a way of living, it lingers, the feeling of gratitude. It's very specific. It's expressed and it's named. Now, thankful. Thankful is in the moment. It's temporary.
Okay.
It's transactional. Not a bad thing, but thankful can be transactional. For example, you open the door for someone, they say thank you. That's transactional because it's to be expected.
Okay, sure.
And then tends to fade once the moment passes.
Okay.
So here's an example when you're doing gratitude journaling. And I'm going to use my personal example. I did not get myself a pretty little notebook that was all aesthetic. I was like,
Who
if
would do that? No, what loser would? I don't know.
stop. I am not dismissing that can also be helpful to know that you have this pretty little notebook to go to every day. My whole thing with that is like, if I'm actually going to be making this a practice, I need to start with what I already have and be consistent with it. If I'm consistent with it and I enjoy it, then I will gift myself a pretty little notebook. That's just me. Not everyone's me.
Can
Thank
I just
goodness.
can I just tell you? I don't want to interrupt your
I'm
story.
weird like that.
My journal, well, I've changed journals over the years, but I had a journal. It was pink and it had a little cartoon cat on it and it said positive thoughts.
Oh,
So
Caitlin.
I
I
think in
love it.
I think in like our intro episode we talked about how I was like the Disney princess
Yes,
and
absolutely.
this is like
Absolutely.
Virginia's
I love
like,
it.
I don't care. I want something I'm gonna take serious. And I'm like, I want a cat. I want to be pink.
But no,
Anyways,
this is why, like,
it's dying. It's great.
you have to do what's right for you.
You
And
do. You do. Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So I just use my standard yellow legal pad.
I love it,
And,
girl.
because again, like, if I'm that, and I don't mean serious, like, I'm so serious of writing down like my gratitude list. It's more of like, I don't want to just get into this practice because it's trendy and it's something I
Right.
have to do. I want to do this. And if I'm going to do it, I have to be consistent at it.
Well,
And
and
so
you're
whether it's a pink notebook or a yellow legal pad, that really shouldn't deter you away from
yes.
doing your gratitude journaling. So I don't care if it's a piece of napkin, it's like, so, okay, so with all that, going on a little bit of a tangent there, here were my personal example of my attempt at gratitude journaling without realizing that I was making these mistakes, without realizing that there's a difference between being grateful and being thankful. So I would be at it every day, and I had three things that I would list for being, air quote, grateful: husband, kids, coffee. And that's that. Done.
Okay.
Moving
Wow.
on. Next day
Okay.
rolls around. Health, job, coffee. Done. Okay, next.
Okay.
You see where I'm going with this?
Mhm.
So I
Mhm.
just listed things I was thankful for, not grateful.
Grateful.
I was
Yep.
thankful for these things. Now, here's what it might look like coming from a grateful place. I am grateful for my husband, Andrew, who makes delicious meals for us and our family.
Hmm.
That is being grateful. I was specific, I
Mhm.
expressed it, and I named it.
Mhm.
And it has a very deep, lingering impact on me, that form of gratitude. So I'll just leave it at that. And Caitlin, I will let you
Well,
chime in.
first off, yes. I love this because I know in the past, and I hear what you're saying now, the difference between thankful and grateful. I know in the past I've been that person that's like, okay, roof over my head, health, and it's like, and then like, and I mean, those are things to
Those are
appreciate.
things.
I'm not
Yep.
knocking that, but
Right.
yeah, studies have shown that over time you are not going to feel um, really anything from that.
Right.
And I'm not saying, oh, you should express your appreciation because it'll be a self-serving thing. Like, do it because you'll feel good. I don't mean that.
Yeah.
But if you really want to make this a self-care and a mental health habit that is wellness for
Mhm.
you, for your well-being, you want to do it right and you want to do it in a way that you're going to get something out of. And so, yeah, listing these very vague things over and over again and repeating is another thing I've heard.
Yeah.
You don't want to repeat.
Yes.
And at first I heard that and I was like, I'm gonna run out of things. And I'm like, girl, your life is
Run
not
out
that
of
bad.
things.
Calm down.
Caitlin,
You're fine. You have many
I'm
things.
gonna run out of
You
things.
are good. Stop that.
Oh, I love
Um,
that.
but when I'd heard that, I didn't know that you had to be more specific. So I was like, well,
Yeah.
shoot, health, I don't know, water, this, like, anyways, I digress on that. So, question.
Yes.
So, because maybe I'm not even doing it right. I don't know. So, I will say things in my gratitude journal or gratitude prayers, things, just random ways that I'm expressing gratitude and listing it off. And I will say, I'm grateful that my boyfriend did this for me. My boyfriend door dashed that for me when I was
Mhm.
sick, and I'm
Yeah.
grateful for that. I'm grateful that my mom and I had a really nice dinner a few
Yeah.
nights ago. Like, so my question is, does that count? Is it because I'm talking about experiences that were fleeting? So
Mhm.
somewhat, maybe not transactional, like opening and closing a door for someone, but
Right.
it is a bit more fleeting than
Mhm.
just something like you said, like I'm thankful for my husband who cooks wonderful meals for us.
Mhm.
Like, so I guess my question is, does mine, should I be tweaking mine a little bit? Like, what are your thoughts?
So my thoughts are that a lot of what we can be grateful for can be fleeting, can be, in the moment. But if it has a lasting impact on us and we're
Mhm.
deeply moved by it, I think that's where gratitude comes into play. So,
Okay.
for instance, well, you mentioned that your boyfriend door dashed you, something while you were sick. That moved you. You could feel it in your body, like how I felt when you shared with me the plaque, the talking blondes. Like it was so moving in my body. It brought me to joyful tears. That's
Yeah.
gratitude. So if you felt that in your body and felt loved, felt supported and
Mhm.
adored and cherished and your needs taken care of, and it has a lasting impact to the point where you are mentioning it on our podcast, I think that's a form of gratitude.
Okay.
As well as your dinner with your mom. It was temporary. It already happened a few nights ago, but you're still so deeply moved by it because probably you really enjoyed each other's company and had great conversations and laughter.
Mhm.
So I think it's a feel. It's the mind body connection with gratitude. Whereas the thankful and the appreciation, like I am not dismissing that at all. But there's a reason why days or weeks later, whatever I was thankful for is no longer the forefront of my mind.
Sure.
But what I was grateful for, I can still feel it. I can
Mhm.
still experience it. I can go into detail about it. So yeah.
I
Uh,
love that. Okay.
I don't
Okay.
know if that helps, but
No, it does. I think definitely if there is some direct emotional connection, and I think
yeah,
that's what you're saying is if you really
yeah.
feel it,
Mm-hmm.
um, and you know me, I'm a heart on my sleeve kind of person, so it's probably coming from a place of feel if I'm listing it off. So absolutely, yeah. I mean, for me, sometimes it's just I'm thankful for, you know, the wonderful story that, you know, this person told at that dinner because it brought us all closer together and
Yeah.
the amazing connection we all felt. I mean, to me, that those are a lot of the things that I'm like, listing off in my brain when I'm going through
Mm-hmm.
that exercise. So, um, but yeah, okay. Oh, I love this. I love this so much.
I love this too. This was so great to prep for and to do some of the research. And honestly, out of all the things that we touched on in today's episode and just getting ready for it, I'm still like I just thought it was so interesting the distinction between grateful and thankful.
Absolutely. I
And
really did not know that. I've used those words interchangeably for
mhm, me too.
years. So I had no idea. And I think this is a really good time of year. I mean, here's the thing. All year long, right? Like, why is it at Thanksgiving really only we go around the table and we say something that we are grateful for? Like, why is that, And
Great question, Caitlin.
this is something that we should be applying in our daily lives.
Yeah.
Now, granted, there sometimes isn't time to all sit down and have a really long meal and everybody talk about all the corny thing. Like, I understand. But
Right.
even if it's, to Virginia's point, keeping a gratitude journal, maybe maybe you are a spiritual person and you're focusing on a higher power, maybe you're meditating, whatever it might be. I mean, there's so many ways we could apply this in our
Hmm.
daily lives, and it really doesn't need to take that long of a time.
No, does
It
not
can,
need to be a time-consuming
yeah,
practice.
yeah.
So Caitlin, I'm thinking that I'd like to end our episode with one more thing, even though we've kind of already touched a little bit on it, but I just want to um, just want to like kind of tailor it to the specifics of how do you think gratitude plays a role in the holiday season?
Mm. I think in its purest form,
Mhm.
it's what the holidays are all about. I think if you take away all the noise, all the consumerism, all the stress, all the planning, all the everything, I think really that's what it's all about. Um, Now, I think in the real world, when reality hits, it plays a role of maybe being a struggle to find and a struggle to, like what I said earlier, it can be difficult.
Yeah.
But I think the challenge that we hopefully rise to meet is that we recognize, okay, this is why we're doing this.
Hmm.
Like, sure, I'm stressed out. Sure, you know, this is going on over here. I'm tired. I'm this. I'm that. That's all so valid, and like we can honor that, and we can multiple things can be true. We can recognize that that's a thing, but we also hopefully can let a lot of, like I said, the noise and the garbage really that's kind of just background stuff fade away and be present, even if just for a moment or two, and really find that inner peace that gratitude brings. I think
Yes.
the holiday season, I truly think that that's why we celebrate. We often forget it. We
Yeah.
more often than not forget it, but that's really what it should be.
And I'm so glad, Caitlin, that that's where it was leading to, is getting back to the true meaning of the holidays.
What
So
do
thank you.
what's your take on that? I'd love to know. What do you think as the life coach?
I don't even know, like, as a life coach, because, like, sometimes I'm like, I'm human too.
Sure, of course.
And was hearing so many women sharing in this women's meetup this morning, of like sharing, traditions, non-traditions, being in a different season of life, and going through changes that, they were not thinking this is how, the holidays were going to be versus this time last year. And again, it just reinforces that we're not meant to be in this one state, this constant state. That's not what life is, all about. We're meant to uh, experience all the things. And so I guess for me, like how gratitude plays a role in the holidays, much like what you were saying, Caitlin, is that getting back to the true meaning of the holidays. And I also mentioned in our holiday burnout episode about just because the things that we do, around the holidays, and it brings stress and it brings exhaustion, it doesn't mean it wasn't worth it.
Hmm.
Sometimes we are a part of something bigger. So if that bigger picture is family, making magical memories, for the kids, but what really came out of that was community and a support system and not doing it all on your own. So I feel like gratitude is possible when you let other people in.
Ooh, I love that. I love that.
So I even said in the women's meeting this morning, I was like, I do not want to be remembered as the woman who did it all. There's no such thing. I want to be the woman who I have this community
Yeah.
and we're all helping each other and get through this crazy, messy, chaotic, beautiful, magical time of the year. And I just thought it was so beautiful hearing these other women talk about, like, yep, it's Christmas is gonna look different this year. I'm divorced. Or I don't have the kids for the holidays. I'm an empty nester. And, or I don't really have the means to go all out, this holiday season. I don't have any close family nearby. So I was just like, wow, like we're really not alone. And
Yeah.
and Caitlin, you brought that up in our holiday burnout episode, that even though, yes, there are moments we go through in life that I hate to break it to you, but we are going to be alone in. Not everyone is going to be by our side in those dark moments. However, if you do feel like you have someone in your life that is that light, um, you are more blessed, than you realize. And maybe that's what it is, that gratitude can be that beacon of light and hope, uh, that we can uh, that we can share with others, during this time. So
That's so beautiful. Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes to all of it. Yes. I couldn't say it any better myself, so I'm just going to let you end it with that because I think that is a wonderful, wonderful takeaway from this whole thing.
thank you.
If people even fast forward to the last, whatever, 5 minutes of this and just get that, I think they're going to be, well, as long as they get the OH lesson
Yes,
too.
that's the most important part, guys. Okay,
No, okay. OH, and then hopefully they'll say I O, okay? Hopefully. Or if they're Virginia, they'll just go OH.
Oh, wait! If you guys want something fun to do for your next holiday function, bring this into it. Oh my gosh, I love that so much. And of course, Caitlin and I are so grateful for
Yes,
you guys
we
taking
really
the
are.
time, tuning in, listening, watching, being a part of this with us. Like we are really doing this because, well, Caitlin and I just love talking and being together. But what we're hoping for is that we are part of something bigger, and that is
Amen,
our
sister.
community. So we will
Yes.
leave it on that note. Thank you so much for tuning in this
Thank
episode,
you.
and we will see you on the next one.
And also, because this is coming out, what, a week before Thanksgiving or about a week?
Yes,
Happy Thanksgiving,
yes.
everyone. Yes, we appreciate you so much. Thank you for being on this
There.
journey with us. And we will see you next time.
See you next time. Bye, everyone.